Hello, and welcome to the Millennial Nutritionist podcast. I'm Isla Garcia, master's degree of nutrition science and registered dietitian, and I'm going to make weight loss realistic, sustainable, and uncomplicated for your busy lifestyle. On this podcast, me and my team of registered dietitians will decipher the latest nutrition research, dissect fad diets, and discuss social media trends for you so you can feel confident knowing what to eat to achieve your health goals. Research suggests that most weight loss programs aren't successful, but my experience has taught me that this is not because the participants aren't committed. It's because those diets are designed by non-nutrition professionals and center around severe restrictions. We are here to provide the facts about the science of weight loss so you can have the success you want and continue living your best life. Welcome back to the Millennial Nutritionist podcast. My name is Isla, your founder, CEO, and host. Today, I want to talk to you about how to lose weight in 2024. Since I was a little behind on making the January episodes, I always like to kind of start out generally with some good weight, just general weight loss information, because I know a lot of people are trying to lose weight, but I also know a lot of people kind of do fad stuff. So I wanted to let that die down, and hopefully you've been working through your fad dieting or whatever attempts you're doing, and maybe now you're coming down from it and wanting other advice. So that's what this episode is going to be about. I have 5 tips or 5 aspects of things you should start considering or doing right now to lose weight this year. I came up with these tips or ideas just really thinking through when I have early clients seems to make the biggest difference for them of what people have in common the most, of what was wrong that we tweak and has the biggest bang for your buck. Some of these are super actionable specific tips, and some of them are more just general things you should be thinking about. But each of these are kind of built on a different podcast episode that I've already made. So each of these I'm going to recommend you go listen to the big podcast episode about these tips, so that you can have just super concrete, actionable things to do, which are going to be in those podcast episodes, just FYI. As far as any announcements before we begin, let's see. I am done taking clients for January. So if you want to sign up for a discovery call, you'll be put with Lacey for now if you wanted to start before the February, or you can wait for me to start in February if you would like. I'll be taking 3 new clients in February. Right now I take 3 new clients one every month. So once those 3 spots are done, they'll be done. And Lacey takes 1 client. So we don't have a lot of availability right now. So make sure to sign up if you're wanting to get some weight loss help. As far as Millennial Living, we have, a new grocery guide over on Millennial Living. It's Trader Joe's January picks. So if you are wanting some new ideas for, protein ideas or breakfast ideas or snack ideas, we have a good guide of some new things that they have out. And then hopefully tomorrow, I've filmed a food demo of me making an overnight oats. So if you're in a breakfast rut and need something you can add that has protein and produce, make sure to go check that out. I am really going to try tomorrow to edit and upload it. It's so easy. So I just need to get it done, and that'll be up over there. But make sure you also are taking part in the challenge of posting your goal. We have a lot of people in there this month, which is exciting. If you complete all of your entries, you get entered to win into a free and you get entered to win into a $25 gift card of anywhere you want that I can send it through email. So whether it's Starbucks or Amazon, and since there's only a couple people that enter every month, you have a high chance of winning and potentially earning back the money that you're paying for the membership. One other announcement, since I'm gonna upload this tomorrow. I have a current dietetic intern. If you're a current client with us, you have seen her or her screen just gets blacked out on, or her screen's off in the calls. But one of their modules is they have to do a private or individual on their own counseling session. And so that's why I do these free giveaways. So if you want to be counseled, if you want your calories and macros, she'll calculate that. She runs all the information by me and I check it off and then tell her that it's good to give it back to them. So it is checked by me and everything. It's just the session's run by her. It's a free 20 to 30 minute consultation. Again, she runs the session. She'll kind of go through what you're struggling with. She'll ask you before so we can come up with some good education materials for you to walk away with and give you your calories and macros as well if you're wondering what that is. And she's been observing me for the past couple weeks. So she's all good on our method, and it'll be really consistent with what I already talked about for you. So make sure to go check that entry out over on Instagram, the.millennial.nutritionist, and you'll just have a little over 24 hours to tag some people in there to get entered to win. But all right, let's get to our episode. So I have 5 key steps that you should be working on right now to lose weight in 2024. The first one is make specific goals. So I have a whole SMART goal podcast episode that I will definitely make sure to link in the description or show notes, wherever you're kind of paying attention to this at. And it's so important to make, I'm going to just highlight one part of this, the S part, specific goals, because I see this happening a lot when I first work with clients. It's one of the first things I explain, how we're going to set goals working together. Because if we don't have specific goals, we can't build on anything. Because a lot of times I'll ask people, like, what did you do before to lose weight? Like, if you've had successful attempts, you know, tell me what that attempt is, because then I can get to know, like, how does your body lose weight? We can kind of figure out how we can replicate that in a more sustainable way. And a lot of people are like, well, I was just like eating healthier, or I do exercise, but then like when it comes down to what the exercise is, it's like very all over the place. So we're not going to make goals in 2024 that are like, I'm going to exercise, I'm going to eat healthier. That is great, but they're not specific enough for us to know, first of all, if you're being consistent, which is key when it comes to losing weight. You need to figure out a formula that works for you and then keep up doing it basically forever. So if you have no specific goal around what that is going to be, you don't know how to be consistent, right? It can't be like, I'm going to exercise more, and your more is like 1 day, 1 week, 4 days the next week, 3 days the next. If you don't want to lose weight, that's fine. But if we were going to lose weight, we got to be consistent with things. So examples of very specific goals, like if we think about the exercise piece, instead of saying like, I'm going to exercise more this week, or I'm going to walk more, or I'm going to strength train, we want to put a number with it. So we want to say, I'm going to exercise. This week, I'm going to do 20-minute strength sessions for 2 times a week. And even though it's small, if you hit the 2 times, then the next week, I want you to build on it and say, okay, this week, I'm going to make it a 30 minutes for 2 times, or I'm going to keep it at 20 minutes and do 3 days. Because that way we can eventually build. And the point of that is, so if you're not losing weight doing 2 days at 20 minutes, you have a very easy way to say like, okay, my body needs more than that to lose weight. So I'm going to bump it up to 3 days. Okay, I'm still not losing weight. I'm going to bump it up to 4 days. Okay, I'm finally losing weight. So now, you know, you've got to keep up with 4 days. There's none of this nonsense of like, well, now my body doesn't respond to exercise because I was exercising more. Okay, well, you got to figure out like what the exact formula is for you. Some more could make not a difference at all. Like if you're going from 0 to 1 day, but a lot more like 0 to 4 days could make the difference. Or you might not even need to do 4 days. Maybe you only need to do 3 days. You know, we just have to have some specific numbers in there again, so you can make sure to replicate what you're doing and you're not overdoing it or underdoing it. The same about eating healthier. There's so many different ways you can make goals with eating healthier, and that's what our program does. I've broken it down in a super easy way. But some examples that are better than just the goal of like, I'm going to eat healthier in 2024 are, I'm going to eat 3 servings of produce 4 days a week, and then you can eat it, you know, build on it. Or I'm going to try to eat 70 grams of protein 4 days a week. Or it can even be like, I'm going to eat a serving of protein that is at least 20 grams with all of my meals. So there's a lot of different ways you can do it. And this is what we help clients with, figure out like, what are the goals that are going to be good for you, that help you to feel encouraged, but stretch you. But the more specific, the better with these. So for the actionable step for this tip, first of all, I want you to listen to that podcast episode, because it'll clear up and give you a very good plan around how you're going to set goals that'll help you to be successful, especially specific goals. And then I want you to create a goal with your exact exercise regimen and add the days of the week. So like I was kind of saying, figure out like what part of it you want to attack. And if you're starting out, anything is better than nothing at all. So don't get caught up with the intricacies. Any way of moving your body is going to burn calories. Like a nutritional goal you could do for an actual step for this. It could be something like, I'm going to eat fruit as a snack instead of chocolate for 4 days this week. and then just build on it, or say, okay, great, I've done that goal, I need to keep that up, and then we're going to add another goal. So I want you to create one specific goal after listening to that podcast episode. Do you love our realistic approach on nutrition but want to dive a little bit deeper? Let me tell you about the Millennial Living Membership Program. This was designed to help you stay motivated and inspired no matter what health journey you're on. We develop monthly nutrition and fitness challenges with prizes you can win if you stick with it to help motivate you through every month. To inspire you, we upload weekly recipes with downloadable food lists, monthly food demos, and we can even have a registered dietitian answer your questions on nutrition and weight loss. Our members form a community with other like-minded people to help support each other on their health journey. If you are seeking a way to stay motivated throughout your health journey with our method in mind, try signing up for the Millennial Living Membership Program for the first 2 weeks free by signing up on our website at themillennialnutritionist.com. My second tip for you on how to lose weight in 2024 is a super specific one, and I want you to measure out everything. This is something that I catch clients with in the beginning, especially ones that maybe we go through a month and they haven't lost any weight. I go through their tracker and realize that some of the things that they're eating don't look accurately measured, or I just double check like, hey, are you measuring this olive oil? Or I see you're making eggs, do you not cook it on anything? Or like your proteins, anything like that. So if you're tracking, this is for you. Make sure that you are measuring your food out, especially oils and fats. 1 tablespoon of olive oil is around 100 calories. So if you're not measuring that out when you cook stuff, or a dressing, for example, has a lot of olive oil, you're really missing a lot, considering we add a lot of olive oil to a lot of foods, which is great. It's healthy. But again, just because something's healthy doesn't mean adding more of it is going to make you lose weight. We need to still make sure it's within a calorie deficit, because then when we have the information of like, hey, I like doing even like a half a tablespoon of olive oil for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with whatever it is you're making, we can say like, okay, that is the thing you want to keep. We're going to have to figure out how to remove 150 calories from something else in your day. And then we can accurately get information. Sometimes it is a little upsetting when you realize like, oh my gosh, there's food, like all this food adds up to calories. And now I like am left with no calories because like all the food that I have to eat in a day takes up like the majority of the calories I can eat. That's why working with somebody can help, because I've had the situations with clients and we talk through like, hey, I see for a snack, you're doing like 4 Chips Ahoy cookies. If you really want to include this olive oil, let's think of a lower calorie snack. Or some people are like, yeah, I didn't even really need that snack, I was just emotionally eating, and then we can work on that. So again, the more information we have on what you're eating through accurate tracking and accurate measurements, the more we can get to the root of the problem and actually fix your weight loss. One client told me this week, she just started with me and it was her first follow-up from our intake session. And typically this helps clients right away. And she was a good example of that. She told me that she was doing about 4 to 5 of the amount of blue cheese in her salad that she thought she was doing. She thought she was doing like a very appropriate amount, which there's like not really appropriate amount, but an amount that wasn't a lot of calories. And then looking at what she could eat that would work within her calorie deficit, it was just way beyond what she thought she was doing. And so from there, she was able to pull back and do a smaller amount that she was still really happy with, didn't really make it taste different for her. And now it's easier for her to be in a calorie deficit with just that information. Another example is I had a client who did this with steak. He loved making steak at home, which is great. Steak is a good thing to add. Lots of iron, especially for women. But the serving size is important because it's a high fat cut of meat, which means it's high calorie. So we really need to make sure we're not overdoing it on these calories. So he realized what he was doing was like 8 to 10 ounces. And when he brought it back down to like 4 or 5, he was able to adjust his meal to make it a lower calorie thing. Of course, I helped him not to be hungry by adding in vegetables and fruits and stuff like that. So again, once we had the accurate information of what he was eating, he was able to adjust and really didn't feel deprived. And so of course, when you do this, it helps you to have a better understanding of portion sizes when you cannot track what you eat. Clients who accurately track and do everything with the measurements, they are able to have a better just like intuition when it comes to picking low calorie meals at restaurants. They're able to say like, hey, I used to eat a 10-ounce steak and now I see this is about 10 ounces on my plate. I'm only going to eat half of it. Or when it comes to something like pasta, like saying like, wow, I know this is more than a cup because this is way more than I give myself at home. So I'm only going to eat half of it. And so it can really relieve stress in those times where you probably feel defeated because you have no idea what the calories are. The more you do this at home, the better it is. And I have a goal for clients to not have to track for the long term. And this is a key step. You have to put in the work here in the beginning to be able to get to that point where you can intuitively eat a little bit better. So your actionable tip for this is if you're tracking, measure out all your foods at least for the first 2 weeks. Like I tell people, anything that passes through your mouth, you can start to cut back on super low calorie foods after that, but you really have to think about anything that goes through your mouth, because I know you're not a registered dietitian. I know you don't have, the experience that I do with intense tracking and stuff like that. So you've got to understand where your calories are coming from, and people get surprised by how many calories are in Starbucks drinks versus butter versus peanut butter versus an ounce of nuts versus different proteins. So in order to understand that, you've got to track and you've got to measure. And then later you can eyeball foods. Like I would say, give it 2 weeks, and then you can start saying like, okay, I about know these measurements, but put in the 2 weeks of effort first, and it can help a lot. All right, my third tip is walk more. So again, I have a podcast episode on this that gives lots of very specific tips on how you can increase your steps, but you've got to walk more, and you've got to walk more every day. This is a big mistake that I see with clients is they say like, yeah, but I hit 10,000 steps like 3 to 4 days. And I say, that is awesome. It's definitely more than you were doing before, but we need to have consistency throughout the whole week. And the reason why is because remember that it takes about 3,500 calories to burn a pound of body fat. And we have to be in a deficit of that, which means, if you calculate that your resting rate is like 2,500, you have to be in a deficit of that 2,400 eventually to lose a pound of fat. I need to make a whole podcast episode on this because it's confusing even when I explain it. I know what I mean, but it's hard to like talk about it. But all this to say that it takes time. You can't be in a 3,500 calorie deficit in one day because you don't even burn 2,500 calories typically. So we think about ways to burn more calories to increase that, right? One way is by exercising, and I love walking because it's so measurable. I was looking up some research just to make sure that I'm right on this because I say it all the time. And typically people do burn 300 to 600 calories from walking 10,000 steps. That variation really depends on your body weight. You burn more calories the heavier you are versus the lighter you are. So if you're in the lighter end, you're probably only burning around 300 calories per 10,000. If you're on the heavier end, you're probably at 600. So if you take that math of 3,500, if I did this correctly, it would take you, if you just did the walking of 10,000 steps every day, it would take you 11 to 6 days or 6 to 11 days to achieve 1 pound of fat loss, right? And this is consistently. So I don't know if that's like encouraging to you or disappointing, but you can't do it in one day. So it's great that you're able to do 10,000 steps one day. It is definitely a buildable specific goal like we just talked about, but don't think you're going to have a whole lot of weight loss just from doing it one day. If we think about it, if you only do it 3 days a week, that means it could take you 2 weeks to a month, again, depending on your body size, to see 1 pound loss. And maybe that's all you need. That's great. If you want to just be loosey-goosey with it, but I think people want to lose weight fairly quickly or as quick as possible. And this is a really great, healthy way that has so many benefits beyond weight loss that you should be doing consistently in order to see progress that helps you to want to continue it. So my actionable tip for this is make sure to go listen to that podcast episode that I made fairly recently about 10,000 steps, why we do it, lots of tips for how to increase it in your day. And then I want you to look at your watch and see what your current daily average is. Like at the end of the week or looking back at the last 7 days, what is it today your daily average is? Not your highest day, not like 3 days I hit 10,000, like your honest daily average at 1,000 and make that this week's goal. So if you're only at 2,500, totally fine. Say this week I want to get to 3,500. Once you reach that for a week straight for your daily average, then add 1,000 per week until you get to 10,000. And that's exactly what I do with clients. We make it very easy peasy. If you think about it, people typically get 1,000 in every 10 minutes. So think about just like adding 10 minutes onto your day or 20 minutes every other day. And remember, it's a daily average. So if you get 20,000 one day, you could essentially do 0 steps the next. And And I go really in depth in that podcast episode. So I'm not going to hash out here, but just do it. Okay. Number 4 is don't give up on the weekends. This is another one that I see a lot where people come to me and they say, I don't know why I'm not losing weight. I do really good on the weekends, but then, I do really good on the weekdays, and the weekends it falls to crap. Okay. Well, the weekends, if we count Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, that's 42% of the week, which to me, I still don't quite understand the math. I did 3 divided by 7 and it gave us 42%. So that's almost half, which is crazy, right? So it makes sense of why you're not really seeing a lot of progress if you're not giving your full effort 42% of the time. We have a podcast episode on this as well. And I think we talk about how you wouldn't expect a paycheck if you only worked, like if you weren't working 42% of the week you're supposed to work, right? So we have to apply that with our weight loss efforts as well. And the weekends are very hard. I won't say like you just need to suck it up and do it, because they are very difficult for so many different reasons. But some tips you could walk away with are, I think if you can make a game plan at the beginning of your day, like if you're somebody who is organized, do this. People that I work with find it helpful to pre-track, especially if there's a meal you know you're going to be having, like pizza comes to mind. If you know you're going to be having pizza, try to figure out, like, if you can pre-track your whole day, say like, okay, I know this is going to be the high calorie food I want. So this is what my breakfast and my lunch needs to look like in order to meet my goals, meet my calorie deficit, to meet my protein goal. And this is how I can switch around my day so I can make the pizza work, so that you're still having success on the weekends. If you're not that diligent, you could even just make a game plan. This is honestly what I do instead of pre-tracking. I'll just say like, hey, this is what I'm going to eat today. I put it in a journal and say like my game plan for what I want to eat. Then it also helps me know, like, do I need to go by the grocery store? Am I going to have like energy to cook a lunch? Should I also just like go get kava for lunch because I love their salads, So just having a game plan, I think, helps to not let the whole day just fall into like a snowball of high calorie choices. Another thing that could be helpful, if that's not you, is to keep your breakfast consistent. People say that it helps to like start with something healthy in the morning, whether it's like a healthy walk or a healthy breakfast or, a tea or something like that. It just gets you in a good mindset. And if we think about, there's 3 major meals of the day typically. If you can keep your breakfast fairly consistent with what you do during the week, it knocks out 30% of the unhealthy choices throughout the day. So it's just a really specific thing that can help you. If you're eating out, which we have a whole podcast episode on this as well, with lots of very specific tips that I'll link, try to make a healthier choice if you can. So how can you do this? Pick the option with the most vegetables. Some very specific ideas could be fajitas at a Mexican place is my go-to. Salad, sometimes like if I don't know where I'm going out to eat on the weekend, I'll just like commit to one of the meals per day needs to be a salad, because you can find a salad pretty much anywhere these days, especially somewhere that's like more modern and Americanized. Fast casual places have salads. So even if that's like the place you go, like I said, one of my go-tos is Cava or Flower Child when I used to live in Texas. I don't think we have that here. Chipotle has good salads, or even like fast food places like Chick-fil-A is a really good go-to for a salad option. And another really specific idea that I do a lot is just make the starter Brussels sprouts your entree. It seems like everywhere now has Brussels sprouts. Sorry, I totally realized that my mic was like super far away. So you can't see me as good, but maybe it seems like everywhere has Brussels sprouts as a starter. Like if I go to Mexican places, I go to Asian places, I go to like barbecue places, and everybody is loving the Brussels sprouts as a starter, which is great because I do not know how to make it as crispy as they make it. And it's a great vegetable to eat out. I sometimes just make that my entree with another protein starter, like if they have dumplings or if they have like, or I'll share something with David that's a protein or something like that. But go ahead and commit to the Brussels sprouts needs to be a part of your entree. Something else on the weekend that can be helpful is that packing healthy food with you is something that helps a lot of my clients. So if you're like trying to be conscious of what you're eating, but you just like end up being at like a 5-year-old's birthday party and they only have cake and chips, it can be helpful if you have some stuff packed either in your car or in your pocketbook. Some examples that have worked for other people are those applesauce packets. there's so many different little like pureed fruit packets that are out there that are good. They're high in fiber, and that counts as a serving of produce. It can fill you up and make you feel like you're having something. Chopsticks is a really good one for people. They're low calorie, high in protein, and those like roasted bean packets as well. They are an actual whole food. They are a vegetable, they're a protein, and they're shelf-stable. So you could probably keep them in the car. You could, if you have a large enough pocketbook, like I said, have it in your pocketbook or something like that for the day. And it can just come in handy if you end up finding yourself out all day long. My last tip for this is to tell yourself that eating out with friends itself is not the treat. So sometimes when I have clients that struggle with this over and over and over again, we start to kind of try to dive into a little bit more psychological stuff where I'm asking them like why, again, like why do they think they're doing this? Why do they think they're doing this? Why don't they do this on the weekday? And sometimes it's just that it seems like a release, or they want to like have fun on the weekend and food is a part of it, which I totally get. It just doesn't need to be part of it 24/7 like all the time, every weekend. Um a lot of the things that we can enjoy about the weekends are actually just eating out. It's something that's taken me a while to get my head around, that a part of eating out that's fun is just the fact that I don't have to meal plan. I get pampered by like somebody bringing me food, and I don't have to do the dishes, right? And you also can typically bring the leftovers home, and so you can have it for the next day. And also, you're typically eating out with somebody you really love or somebody you want to spend time with. And that's the point of eating out. So it doesn't have to just be about the, dessert and the high alcohol. And so my actionable tip for this is relates to this. So first of all, go listen to the podcast episode on the weekends, and I'll say the eating out as well. But I think what I want you to do is make a list of things that you like about the weekend other than foods. So, is it for you that you enjoy having time to spend with friends or your kids or your partner? Is it that you love relaxing? This is something that I've leaned into as I've tried to like not make the weekend so much about food. It's just like I get opportunity to lay around until like 11 a.m. and it's great. Or is it working around the house and working on projects? Try to do more of these things on the weekend instead of eating out. It's a muscle you have to build, and it's a neural pathway you have to, build over and over again. But it gets easier. And this is something I've totally had to do for myself. The weekends for me always used to be about just like doing extravagant things around eating. And I was just continually building up this like habit of making food the only fun thing in my life. And really had to rebuild how I treated the weekends. And so now for me, the weekends are all about relaxing because that's really what I want. It's about having fun outside of food, which means going on walks with friends, which means trying to get into house projects, playing board games with people, or even just like watching TV. I've tried to give myself so much permission on just relaxing, watching TV and not feeling guilty because it's better for me than just going out and eating high calorie foods all the time. Number 5 is find an external person to keep you accountable. So if you remember, I went to that weight loss. I now have I have a certificate of training in weight management for adults and pediatrics, which basically I just meant that I went to this conference and I had to do a lot of pre-work and I took an exam and I passed it. So I'm an expert when it comes to weight loss ish. And one of the things they talked about a lot that I'm trying to take to heart is they did a lot of research, or they presented a lot of research about what people do to keep their weight off long term, because this is what we're all trying to solve for, right? And one big theme that they find in people who are able to keep their weight off is that they have to honestly like keep up with things that they were doing before. And a way they were doing this is by self monitoring or by like being held accountable. So I want you to go ahead and work on this and try to find a team of people that can help you be held accountable. And I think because we live in a society where making the healthy choice is not the default choice, it's not the easy choice, it's like the choice that is the cheaper choice a lot of the times. It's the like more restful, relaxing choice. And it's just a choice that makes nobody money. So it's not being advertised, right? So we need people in our corners to encourage that and combat like the ads we get that say like, it's the weekend, go drink like five Budweisers, or it's like happy hour, everything's half off, or it's 11 o'clock, go get your Starbucks like high calorie drink. Like we need somebody else giving a different voice in our head. And so some people that can be helpful for this are a doctor, therapist, trainer, dietitian, or some sort of group thing. So therapists, I think, can be really good for this. I just speak from personal experience because I think they're a good, just like general person to hold you accountable to goals and also just check in to make sure your goals are even like healthy and appropriate for you mentally. They can also help you to develop healthy coping mechanisms. I think one big thing I've learned in therapy over the past year and a half is that the coping mechanisms that I thought were helping me were actually like really hurting me, and I had to undo them, which is why I've tried to give myself permission to just like watch a lot of TV on the weekends because I would end up stressing myself out and I would just self-soothe through food. And I would have never thought, figure that out if I didn't go to therapy. And even just the therapists that take health insurance, I think can be great for this because again, I think it's really just about somebody holding you accountable. And if you can go essentially for free with like a small copay, it can be great to have somebody like this that can really keep you on track for what you want to achieve and what is overall very healthy for you. So totally find a therapist that works for you. Trainers obviously are a great person to have because they can help you keep up and be consistent with exercise. Exercise is absolutely something you're probably going to have to push yourself with and be consistent for the rest of your life. Just because we lose muscle mass and we are like increasingly more sedentary the older we get because we work a lot more. So it's important to stay consistent with exercise. And I find that people who, unless you're like a very inherently motivated person, it seems like a lot of people that I work with really do well when they have a trainer or they have like a group thing that they go to, whether it's like an Orange Theory thing or like they have some sort of like group class that they're signed up for, especially if you pay and then there's a penalty or something like that. That seems like a good way to be held accountable. Of course, dietitians will help you get through these hard weekends, holidays, and work trips. Um, and they should really be encouraging. I think like dietitians on the team, as people who are typically not going to make you do like super intense stuff. I feel like, they should be really trying to think through why something didn't work for you and them come up with solutions that can help you work around. Or at least that's what I do. Like if I have a client again that's like not being successful because of the weekends, I'm really going to dive into like try to figure out with them why it's not working, but then me kind of come up with some solutions that work. If they're like again, like I just end up finding myself for lunch and I don't like I'm at a random birthday party and I don't know what to do, I'm going to say like, okay, if this is your problem, this is like what I want you to do about it. And I'm not going to shame somebody. I'm going to just work through what they're struggling with and then give solutions so that you can be more successful. Um, because like we just don't have a very consistent life. We don't want to say I'm only going to lose weight when my life is like super normal because then you'll never really lose weight. Things always come up. There's a holiday like every month and there's always weekends and there's always work trips and there's always crazy family stuff going on. And so having that consistent person in your life to yes, hold you accountable, but not like in a mean way, but just continually thinking through challenges, I think can be really helpful. Lastly, doctors. So I want to add this in here because I think doctors are important to have on your accountability team so that you can make sure that you're being held accountable for medical issues that really need to be worried about. And I'm talking about things like hypertension, high cholesterol, breathing problems, prediabetes. Like these aren't things that are just like will make you feel better if you deal with them. They're things that really could have long-term implications that get worse if you don't. So although like I think it can be hard sometimes to go to the doctor when we're at a higher weight because we don't want to be told these things. It's just important to take care of them and to have somebody there to maybe like kick you in the butt to be like, no, this like there's things that are going to happen that are going to get worse if you don't take care of it. So I think it is important to go to the doctor. Typically you have to do it like once a year. But if something like this comes up, it's good to have somebody to work on the medical part of things. So the actionable tip for this is to figure out which one of these would help you most and maybe add somebody to your team, whether it's a doctor, therapist, dietitian, or trainer. I think it can be helpful to at least have one person, if not two. Okay, that's the end of today's episode. I hope it was helpful. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube or on Spotify. Make sure to subscribe or whatever the option is there. It really helps to support my channel. And yeah, make sure to go listen to all those podcast episodes that I told you about. Bye.